And just so that the next episode has begun, welcome back to Ace Attorney, Trials and Tribulations. I'm your host, MegaShadowFist, the second video games, the second commentary. When we last left off, we were presenting evidence to prove that Look Atmey was indeed the murderer. So, let's continue where we last left off. Uh-oh, I don't like the way you said that. Kane Buller blackmailing Look Atmey. Are you for real? Yes, I am. Nick, come on, stand up to him! Then answer me this. The blackmail letter contains the following passage. If you don't want your identity revealed to the world. Yes, it certainly does! Kane Buller threatened to make Look Atmey's identity of public knowledge. An identity he wanted to keep a secret. So just what was that identity? I don't know, they never told us! Never told us this. Atmey killed Kane Buller because he was afraid of his secret becoming known. What was the identity he wanted to keep secret? This is what it all comes down to, Nick. The identity that Look Atmey wanted so desperately to keep secret was his identity as an ace detective? No. Master Mask? No. Okay, so ace detective wouldn't work, right? Because that's what he's known as. Master Mask wouldn't work either, because he wanted people to... No, but... We're trying to prove that he didn't want to be a Master Mask, right? So the only one that makes sense is a blackmailer. Because he blackmailed, he was blackmailing Delight. Look Atmey was a blackmailer! Objection! Hey now, isn't that a little different from what you've been saying? You said that Kane Buller was the one blackmailing Look Atmey. You said that Kane Buller was the one blackmailing Look Atmey. Are you saying that Atmey was blackmailing someone else on top of that? You have to admit, that does sound a little odd. But what else would it have been? It's not odd. It's the only thing that makes any sense. Kane Buller was blackmailing Look Atmey. But Ron Delight was also being blackmailed by a certain someone. So, did you start to receive blackmail letters starting after this incident? Yes, just a few days after the Tier of Imminent heist. After that, I started getting the plans in the mail. I received plans from some very kind person, incredibly detailed plans. Detailed plans? In which case, that would mean that Ron Delight was actually Master Mask. That is what we are claiming. Someone else came up with the plans and had Mr. Delight steal his targets for him. And that someone was none other than Look Atmey. Shh! Silence! Now I see, it's all becoming clear. What is? When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Careless, with the tendency to jump to conclusions. Am I wrong? How did you? You say that I, Look Atmey, was blackmailing Ron Delight. In which case, I would naturally know all about his relation to Master Mask. Well, yes. Ron Delight started receiving plans from his second crime onward, correct? They're gonna make me present something very soon. Which means, I learned of his identity when he committed the first crime. Good point. You certainly couldn't have blackmailed him otherwise. Well, Mr. Wright, do you know what this is? Do you have any proof that, blah blah blah? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and hit continue from save point. Good point, you certainly couldn't have blackmailed him otherwise. In that case, let's see some hot, bitter evidence. During the first crime, how did Look Atmey know that Ron Delight was Master Mask? During the first crime, how did Look Atmey know that Ron Delight was Master Mask? Found in the shadow, looks like it was torn off some clothing. He said that he lost the brooch, right? We could always go with it. Would it work, though? Okay, none of this has anything to do with it at all. That doesn't have anything to do with it. That's like the murder case, newspaper clipping. We check, guard in the photo is Ron Delight, touch the check button for details. Precious gem is Tier of Imminent. He said he lost, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that whatchamacallit said that he lost a brooch, right? Like, it was torn and... Nope, that's wrong. Mr. Wright, please don't judge, just throw out any evidence as you please, like, any piece of evidence like you like. The only thing a man should throw when he's frustrated is a hissy fit. Alright. I figured that wasn't right, but I figured it was worth a shot, because I was like, because if I remember, like, Ron said that his whatchamacallit was torn, and then Luke Atmey found it, and that's how he used it, so then Rod and Delight had to create a new outfit, correct? And I guess that's not the evidence that they were looking. It's not the these are not the droids that we were looking for. That is all. The court is adjourned. These are not the droids you are looking for. I don't know why I said that, but whatever. Continue. Okay, then from save point. Okay, good point. In that case, let's see some hot, bitter evidence. During the first crime, how did Luke Atmey know that Ron Delight was mask to mask? So that didn't work. So the only evidence that we have other than that is a newspaper clipping, I think. Let's go with that. I think I see it. See what? See what? When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Gets into lots of mischief trying to be the center of attention. What do you mean? This newspaper clipping. It has a picture of you and Ron Delight in his guard uniform. It seems that Master Mask didn't just disappear into thin air. He just took off his outfit and hid it in a bucket. That sounds far too stupid to be true. Correct. With tricks like that, he couldn't fool a baby, let alone an ace detective. And that's when you figured it out, Mr. Atmey. That's when you learned that under his mask, Master Mask was really Ron Delight. What the? Wasn't he supposed to be Master Mask? Oh. Well, like that, he looks like he wasn't even an ace detective. I can't believe it. He was just a slimy blackmailer. What a fraud, trying to pass himself off as an ace detective. Why you? How dare you expose me like that? Why I mean, I've never blackmailed anyone in my life. I'm a famous and proud ace detective and also Master Mask. Why can't you understand that? I'm afraid you are neither a proud thief nor an ace detective. You're a blackmailer and a murderer. That is your true identity. Why you? How dare you even? Damn, confidence with lollipops! Why not try to decide yourself with a big monster? You're a real fool! I say none of you can be a genius, you're really just jealous! Grab it back to some of the ace can I back will let it there to go get with all the It's enough to make one laugh! Well, I guess his goose is cooked now. It would seem we finally gotten the real answer. That was quite a performance by Mr. Atmey. Bailiff, please prepare a cell for Mr. Atmey. What? You? How? No! Nah! Go not! The hammer that strikes too fast has no time to aim. What do you mean? I'm already prepared to deliver my sentence. Allow me to say one thing. I will be the one to judge. You don't get much more in your face than that. It appears that your claws weren't quite sharp enough, Mr. Trite. Where did you... It's true that you've proven a lot of things. Things like Luke Atmey was a filthy blackmailer, and that he wasn't at Lordly Taylor the night of the murder. That's right! That's why he was the one who killed Mr. Bull... But... there's still one thing you have yet to prove. What's that? Just because he wasn't at the warehouse doesn't mean he was at the murder scene. Therefore, if you can't prove that this pitiful excuse of a man was at KB Security, then I don't see how a verdict can be delivered. No! No way! Order! Order in the court! Well, Mr. Wright, do you have proof? Show us some evidence that he was there, okay? And if you can do that, then we will allow you to kill him. Make sure that you hire, Shelly to kill her first, though, but not on me. This is it. This is it. This is the final round. I've got to prove that Atmey was at Mr. Bullet's office on that night. I said offers. What? Can you really prove that? That's long enough. Mr. Trite, I want to hear your answer. That night, Luke Atmey was at KB Security and the defense can prove it or can't prove it? Well... The night Luke Atmey was at KB Security and the defense... There's no penalty for choosing either one, so let's choose can't prove it first, and then see if... I don't know yet. I can't prove it. Just as I thought! But, if we hear more of Detective Atmey's testimony... Unfortunately, that's as far as you go, Mr. Trite. What do you mean? I won't allow for any more testimony. That's what I mean. What? Have you forgotten? Luke Atmey is here after we interrupted his own trial, and you have failed to prove that he committed the murder. Okay, this is going on for far too long, so I think that I chose the right answer. I think it's time for this witness to return to his own trial and face his guilty verdict as mask to mask. No! Well now, Sir Lawyer, it seems that love wins in the end after all. I am the ace detective as well as mask to mask. My verdict will verify that. Just as Ron Delights will verify that he is the true murderer. I declare that with the full force of ace detectiveness is. Order! Order in the court! That's enough deliberation over this witness. I can't believe this. At this rate, Ron is... Don't give up now, Nick. We still have tomorrow. We can look for more evidence and... By then, it'll be too late. Huh? Why? Double jeopardy. One of the basic rules of any court of law. Double jeopardy?
It means you can't get two sentences, yabla.
Should a defendant be tried and found innocent in court, that defendant cannot be tried again for the same crime. This is a fundamental rule of all courts. And it applies to this witness as much as it applies to anyone else. Mr. Atmey will be found guilty in a matter of minutes. Guilty as mask to mask, which means he'll be innocent as far as the murder of Kane Bullard is concerned. No way! The fact that you were unable to prove Mr. Atmey's guilt of that crime here, means that he will never again be tried as Kane Bullard's murderer.
I don't know where that came from.
Now there's nothing I can possibly do to win. Even if Ron is proclaimed to be innocent, the real killer, Luke Atmey, will go free. You have cross-examined every statement the witness has made here today, and as long as there is no more testimony, I'm afraid you have to declare that there will be no further questioning of this witness. Are there any objections? Come on, Von Karma, Lady Von Karma, pop out! Edgeworth, Gumshoe, please, someone! Desiree Delight, please! Then I hereby end the cross-examination of Luke Atmey.
Objection!
I think I see it. Your Honor, when you were a child, this is what was on your report card every year. Is this Lady Von Karma? I don't want to jump into any conclusions. Has poor hearing and often makes mistakes as a result. No, that doesn't seem like something. This has to be Lady Von Karma. That was her objection too. Like that was her objection voice. Has poor hearing and often makes mistakes as a result. How did you? Phoenix, raise your head up high. Have you forgotten what I used to tell you? A lawyer is someone who smiles no matter how bad the... That's not. That doesn't sound like something... That voice? No way! Okay. Long time no see, Phoenix. Mia! Was it really that long? This is the true power of the Kodain channeling technique. Yeah, because the first case was actually just... I see. I know that it's really Maya who's standing before me, but right now she's my mentor, Mia Fey. I shouldn't have jumped to any conclusions. Now, let's do this! But there's nothing more we can do, Mia! Without any more testimony, I can't cross-examine. It's been a while since we've seen Mia look like this too, because usually when she possesses somebody, it's Pearl, so she has like the weird bunny ears over her head. Not yet! The testimony's not over yet. What do you mean? Your Honor, just now you said something very interesting. You have cross-examined every statement the witness has made here today. Yes, that's true, but... Unfortunately, Your Honor, you're forgetting something. Earlier, after the latest cross-examination, this witness made a number of remarks. Well now, Sir Lawyer, it seems that love wins it out in the end after all. I am the ace detective as well as master mask. My verdict will verify that. Just as Rhonda Lights will verify that he is the true murderer. I declare that with the full force of my ace detectiveness. Yes, but these comments appear to have no importance whatsoever. Very well, then we shall prove their importance via cross-examination. At any rate, as long as the witness has made these remarks, we the defense assert our right to question them. Is that alright? Is that alright with you, prosecutor? Huh. Gives us a little more evidence as to just who Godot is. Anyway, without further ado, like I said, I know who he is, but like I said, I don't really, because it was spoiled to me, but I don't know how he became Godot or anything. This is still a blind playthrough, despite the fact. Is something the matter, Mr. Godot? Nothing. Oh, Sir Lawyer, it looks like you're one step too late. If you think such falsehoods will do anything to me, look at me! Let's hear it. Huh? I'm not doing the look at me whispering. I don't even know what this voice is. Anyway, it's true that the witness made some remarks. So then, let's hear this last bit of cross-examination. Mr. Godot, what are you? Very well then, look at me. I'll allow the defense to cross-examine your earlier remarks. The defense would like to hear why you declare the defendant to be the true murderer. So please give us one last bit of testimony. Phoenix, this is it. This is our absolute last chance. Yes, Chief. The last testimony. Alright, here we go. Indeed, it is true that I was not a lordly tailor. I had to leave to see about other vitally important job requests. I had known about the data beforehand, so I had this photograph readied. My brilliant deduction was what informed me that the true culprit was Rhonda Light. And thanks to the keycard and wallet, it was abundantly clear that he was there. I was also able to make a deduction for the buzzer, which only sounded once. The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? The victim would have left prints if he sounded it, which means the killer sounded it. Mr. Light was wearing his master mask outfit, which is why he left no prints. And the blackmail letter, the victim likely just mistook the color of the jewel. Svati! Therefore, all the evidence points to that poor boy. That was a long one! This testimony actually seems to hold up pretty well. The witness's earlier remarks do not appear to have been hastily prepared. All of his points have been explained, and none of them seem to contradict anything. But of course. But, how did you know about the emergency buzzer? The police investigation documents went directly through me, and I always look over all the documents. It's elementary, Sir Lawyer. Are you going to make even more trouble for us now, Sir Lawyer? I will not allow any of your usual shenanigans, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. We cannot postpone Luke Atmey's trial any longer. This is your last chance. Hang on a sec. Just one chance? Ha! It seems that the party's about to begin. Well, Phoenix? There isn't any evidence that contradicts with that testimony. So it would seem. What do you mean, so it would seem? Listen, Phoenix. Pointing out contradictions doesn't always mean you have to present evidence, does it? At any rate, this is our last chance. If you can't point out a case-breaking contradiction, you lose. That's all there is to it. Cup number 17, the last cup. It seems like the time has come to put an end to this trial. I have to find a fatal contradiction in this testimony, and I need to point it out without presenting evidence. Which means all I can do is find the contradictory remark and press it! Remember, you only get one chance! Awkward pause, see you guys in the next episode.